Hello and welcome back to the channel, and we are here for my second part of the breakdown of the second gameplay showcase. In this video we are covering the combat and the battle arena sections. If you missed my first part, please go and check it out because we found all sorts of secrets in the flight and the exploration section of the gameplay showcase, and there are so many things for you to see in there, so go and check that out first. I will leave the link in the description down below. As always, don't forget to give this video a like, and also if you're interested in anything Wizarding World, then consider subscribing to the channel because we cover all elements of the Wizarding World here, but at the moment we are specifically covering Hogwarts Legacy. So let's not delay any further and let's get into the breakdown of the combat and the battle arena of the second gameplay showcase. So this clip starts with us in the Forbidden Forest, and we are at a very familiar tree. This is a tree that we've seen in some of the promotional material for Hogwarts Legacy already, and we can see some of the signs slightly more clearly. Some of these say danger, keep away. There is also a warning for senators, and there is a danger sign from the Ministry of Magic themselves. As the camera pans round, we get a wonderful shot of the Forbidden Forest, and the environmental effects of the fog and the lighting just make this area look perfect. It looks terrifying and spooky. As our character rounds this corner, we see there is some leaping toadstool caps, which are collectibles for crafting, and our character can collect them by pressing the square button here. If we take a look just ahead of us up this path, to the right hand side there is a web symbol on the minimap. Now this is going to be some sort of spider's nest where the giant spiders hang out, and there's actually 4 enemies that you can see on the minimap already. So this area does seem to be quite overwhelmed with spiders, and I would imagine there's going to be some sort of hole or dungeon area where the spiders will come out of if you approach, so there'll probably be more than 4 to face. To the left hand side you can actually see the Dark Arts Arena symbol. This is the location we actually head to in this trailer. We then bring out our newt case and withdraw the Thestral mount from it. This looks absolutely incredible. Honestly, the creatures in this game just give me so much joy, and I cannot wait to ride them and tame them and look after them. We then head down this path and head past the spider's nest. Ahead of us there is a flue flame, and this is actually lit. And because it's lit, instead of it appearing in the middle of the screen, to the bottom left hand corner near the map, it actually tells us the location of this flue flame. And this is in the North Hogwarts region. We then follow the path up to the left, and as we get to this fork in the road, if you look to the right hand side, there is something that we can search on the floor behind this tree. I don't know if this is a chest or something else, but there is something we can search there, and hopefully this will give us either some form of clothing or item, or potentially some other form of crafting material. To the right hand side you can see on the minimap there is a river. We don't head that way, we head up to the left and we head past this ancient magic symbol. Now we saw this early on in my other breakdown and I speculated what it was, but I have a bit more of an idea from this clip here, because as we walk past it our character says this audio line.
A castle must have been quite stately in its time.
Now I've speculated that Merlin is quite heavily linked to the ancient magic, and also I believe that pensives are going to be a big part of the ancient magic storyline itself, as well as we see a few of them throughout some of the trailers. Now I believe as we go to different locations we will be able to access with our ancient magic different memories. Now our character says this castle must have been stately back in the day, and I think with our ancient magic, if we go to that location, we may well be able to see how stately that castle was, because we will see it in a memory. Now whose memory it is I do not know, but potentially it could be linked to some of the founders. As we turn away from the castle, there are some more leaping toadstool caps that we can collect on the floor here. And then we see the path lead up to the right, which goes up the mountain, but we take the lit path round to the left that leads towards the Dark Arts Arena. I love the animation as we get off of the mount, because we draw the suitcase straight away and absorb the Thestral into it before we've even got off of it. Our character then approaches the Dark Arts Arena and it says the following. Fight waves of enemy in this battle arena with the unforgivable curses Avada Kedavra, Imperio and Crucio, as well as the blasting curse Confringo. In addition to their unique and devastating effects, unforgivable curses break through all shield charms. Now, it's interesting to see that they give us a set of curses that we can use, and then by the looks of things they allow us to pick 4 more, as that seems to be the only curses that we use in this battle arena. Just want to say, as our character is waiting to go through into the battle arena, you get a really nice view of the Dark Arts cloak, and it really does look spectacular. We then enter the Dark Arts arena, and as we do, this figure closes its cloak around the entrance. Now, one of the most exciting screens we get in this trailer is the next screen we see as we go through into this. This is where Andrew is setting up his spells, and it says, "Sorry, no peeking." However, I think we can actually decipher what quite a lot of these spells are, and actually, from looking at the shape of the pixelization, I think I may have even put them in the right locations. So just looking at the layout of the screen, to the left hand side it looks so you have your actually equipped spells, and you can see the 3 unforgivable curses, as well as the Confringo spell on the spell cross that we can see on the left hand side already. Down the middle of the screen is all of the spells that we can actually use within the game. Then to the right hand side there appears to be a little section at the top, which I would imagine would tell you the name of the spell and give you a brief description of it, as well as a short video clip of our character using this spell underneath it. So first of all, I would like to go through the spells that we know. So I'm going to sort these into the 3 categories that we have. We have the control spells, which are in yellow at the top of this screen. We have the purple spells, which are the force spells, and then we have the red damage spells. There are obviously a few more colours beneath this. So first of all, I think we know 2 of the yellow control spells, and the first one is going to be Arresto Momentum. Now what this spell does is it seems to be a slow effect on the enemies, and it seems to hold them in their tracks wherever they are, as you can see here. Arresto Momentum seems to last for approximately 3 to 5 seconds, and it has a 15-second cooldown. The next control spell that we know is Wingardium Leviosa, and this is the symbol for it here. Wingardium Leviosa brings the enemy into the air and they just seem to flail around for a second. Again, this seems to be some sort of crowd control effect to stop the enemy from attacking you for a short period of time. Wingardium Leviosa has an 8-second cooldown. Now into the purple spells, we have the first one, and that is Accio, and this brings an enemy towards us. If they are far away, it brings us to the same location as it does if they are closer to us, and this brings them into a more prominent area for us to be able to attack them, but also has some crowd control effects on them. Accio has a 7-second cooldown. The next spell that we know is Descendo, and this is a spell that slams the enemy into the floor as seen here. Once we've used Descendo, there is a 10-second cooldown on this spell. And finally, we have the other purple spell that we know, and that is Depulso. We don't actually use it in this trailer, however, a lot of the Dark Arts characters do seem to use it. Because of this, I do not know how long the cooldown is. Moving on to the red spells, and we actually know 3 of these, and these are the damage spells. So the first one we see a lot in this trailer is the Confringo spell, and this is the exploding spell. Once we use Confringo, there is a 20-second cooldown. The next spell we see used a few times in this trailer is actually Defindo. This is the cutting spell. Once we've used Defindo, there is a 15-second cooldown. And finally, the last damage spell we know, and that is Incendio, as seen here. Again, I do not know the cooldown for this spell. We do also see this red symbol. I do not know exactly what this spell is, but I believe it could be Expelliarmus. I do not know if this has been confirmed anywhere, but I believe this is what most people's speculation is. On the next row, there is a row of light blue spells, and I believe that we know one of these because we have seen it in other parts of the breakdown, and that is Lumos. This is obviously the wand lighting spell. Again, I do not know what the cooldown is for this. I'm then going to move down to the dark green spells, and that is these spells down here. These are obviously the unforgivable curses, and we see them lots in this trailer. The first one is Imperio. This takes an enemy on our side and allows them to fight for us. Now, this lasts for at least 20 seconds before we attack them, but I think it could actually last longer. However, when we do attack the enemies, they do snap out of their bewitchment. The second unforgivable curse is Crucio, and this is a really interesting spell. The effects of it look fantastic as seen here, and what it actually does is it hits the enemy with an initial burst of damage, but then it does several further ticks of damage. Once you use Crucio, there is a 20-second cooldown. And finally, the last unforgivable curse is Avada Kedavra, and this is obviously the killing curse. This is an instant kill attack and will kill any enemy that you use it on. So it's obviously good to pick wisely who you attack. Once you've used Avada Kedavra, there appears to be a 55-second cooldown, which is obviously a lot higher than the rest of the spells for obvious reasons. Also, to increase the power of the Avada Kedavra spell, it doesn't only instant kill one enemy, it also has an effect on other enemies around you and causes them to experience fear and stops them from attacking you for a short period of time. Now, there's a few other colour spells in the middle of this that I don't know exactly what they are. There is these 3 light green spells, and these appear to be the ones that we see in the Room of Requirements, but we don't know exactly what these do. Just from looking at the pictures and seeing what happens on the screen around them, this is potentially some sort of conjuring spell, and this is where we get all of the items that we conjure into the location in the Room of Requirements. This here, just because of the symbol, it looks like it is duplicating something, could well be the Gemino spell, but I'm just speculating here. And again, with this one, because of the glass, it looks like it is being broken, I would suggest that potentially this is a Reparo. There are 3 spells at the bottom of this screen that I do not know what they are, but potentially they are linked to our ancient magic. So there you go, this is our list of all the spells that we know. I know a couple of them are speculation, but I think we have nailed most of these on the head. And this is what I believe they're going to look like when you put them on this specific spell screen. I think just by looking at the shape of the symbols, I have matched them up to where they will be located in the actual game. Now, the next section of the game we're going to do slightly differently than normal. I have personally gone through it frame by frame to find all the secrets, but I have brought these down into a nice version for you to watch rather than watch me go through each fight scene individually, because there's a lot of stuff that repeats itself and I just wanted to get to the most important points. Now, while we are talking about the magic, let's have a look how our basic attack combo works. Now, looking at our basic attacks, we have a 4 spell combo. Now, I don't know if this is just at this point of the game or if potentially later on we can upgrade it to a 5 or 6 or 7 spell combo, but at this point in the game our character has a 4 spell combo, and the way that works is we have 3 spells which do 34 damage each, and then a 4th more powerful spell which does 174 damage, as seen here. Now, more of the combat, let's talk about how ancient magic works in this game. Now, as you can see, as we hit this enemy with the combo attack, there is these blue gems that fall off of him. Now, we can collect these gems and you can see it absorbing into our character here. Now, as we do so, it builds up the meter at the bottom next to the ancient magic symbol. Once this meter is full, we can then unleash our ancient magic in a very powerful attack. In this trailer, we actually see 3 different variants of the ancient magic spells. The first one we see here up against this enemy, you can see the R1 prompt, which is the ancient magic prompt above his head, and you can also see the ancient magic symbol glowing as we use the power. This spell seems to blast the enemy backwards, and as the enemy hits the wall behind him, he disintegrates into several different pieces. The second ancient magic spell that we use is actually a very strange one, as it involves transfiguration. And as you can see, the L1 prompt again above this enemy, but this time as we hit them with this spell, the enemy turns into a chicken. Now, I believe the difference between normal transfiguration and this transfiguration is this is going to be permanent. And the final ancient magic spell we see is again very different. This one is more of a thrust motion with our wand, and as we do so, a bolt of magic pierces the enemy. As you can see, it seems to appear out the back of him, similar to a gunshot, and then the enemy seems to fill with magic before exploding. Now, these spells look almost as powerful as Avada Kedavra themselves, but they are just unique and different and are fantastic to watch, and I really can't wait to see how many variants of ancient magic powers there are. We've already seen the lightning one in the previous trailer, so it'll be interesting to see if there are many more variants. Another key feature of the combat in this game is the blocking and also dodging mechanics. There's 2 different warnings that our character gets, and they're both indicated with a prompt around the character's head. You can see here before this attack comes in, our character has an orange prompt around his head. The orange prompt means that we can use our deflective spell Protego to protect ourselves from this spell. When we use Protego, we have this shell of magic around us and we can deflect the spell. It's worth noting as well that it prompts us to hold triangle during Protego to stun enemies with the Stupefy counterattack. So this is going to be how Stupefy is implemented in the game, and if we do it, it does stun enemies out of the game for a very short period of time. There's also another prompt around our head, and this time this one is red. This is an unblockable spell. Only certain enemies appear to be able to do these, but maybe all enemies can do them. We just haven't seen it in this trailer. This particular character is a ranger, so I'm guessing his attacks are more powerful. So this is unblockable by our character, and because of that, we have to utilize the dodge roll, which you can see here. This clip here against the mountain troll really emphasizes the different versions. As you can see, we cannot block the first 2 attacks from the troll, so we roll out the way of them, but the last one is actually blockable, so we block this with Protego. Following straight away after this is another gameplay mechanic, and this is using the Pugno spell. This spell fires items from around the map at the enemies, and as you can see here, we bring this boulder towards us before firing it into the troll. And the last main combat mechanic that is important to go through is the cursing mechanic. When we use the Crucio spell on this loyalist warrior here, you can see that this green cross appears around him. This means that this enemy is cursed. We then continue to fight and actually end up cursing another character throughout this fight scene. What the curse means is that if we attack a different enemy, the damage that we inflict to that enemy is also shared among all of the cursed enemies. If we use Advada Kedavra, we can kill multiple enemies at once. It's a really cool gameplay mechanic and would be really good to implement during fights with multiple enemies, just to try and keep control of the crowds around you. So now we get onto the section where we're going to talk about our potions and our utilities that we can use throughout the battles. First of all, we'll have a look at the health potions. These are indicated by this green bottle to the bottom right. They are Wiggenwild potions. As you can see, our character gets hit by a spell during this moment, and our health bar drops to about 1/3 remaining. We then take a potion. There is no actual animation for this, but we can see the potion counter goes down from 10 to 9, and as we do this, our health bar fills nearly full, suggesting these potions are able to fill about 2/3 of our health bar. But potions aren't the only way to gain health in this game mode, and if you actually look at this clip from earlier, when we absorb the ancient magic from this enemy, you can see that our health bar rises very slightly, as well as the ancient magic meter, so we can actually absorb some health from enemies. Another potion that we can take is the strengthening solution, and this has the really nice effect of making our skin turn to stone. This will mitigate damage from enemies, so if you're fighting stronger enemies, it is worth potentially taking one of these before the fight begins. We then get a look at our utilities wheel, and there is a few things that we can actually use during the fights. We have the 3 plants that we know of so far, and that is the Chinese chomping cabbage seen here to the left. There is actually a brief description of this at the bottom of the screen. It says a formidable chomping cabbage that when released attacks nearby enemies. Chomping cabbage seeds can be purchased at Dogweed and Deathcap. They must be grown in medium or large pots. So this actually gives us a name of a shop that we're going to see in Hogsmeade, and that is at Dogweed and Deathcap. Above the Chinese chomping cabbage is actually the venomous tentacula, and this works in a turret sort of way, as you see here. And below that is the mandrake, and we've seen this in one of the previous trailers. To the top of our wheel, we have the strengthening solution that we've just seen, and then to the right hand side, we have this focus potion. And this works to reduce the cooldowns of our attacks. It appears that it actually halves the cooldown at time, because it appears that Advada Kedavra would last now only about 25 to 30 seconds. So the main objective in this battle arena is obviously to defeat the waves of enemies, but we also have some mini objectives just to spice up the gameplay, and these are dueling feats that we can see to the right hand side of the screen. And we have many different ones throughout this trailer. They seem to get harder as the rounds progress. So these are the challenges that we actually have. First one is to hit a ranger with Stupefy. This is obviously holding the triangle button. We then also have to use a mandrake against an enemy. In this one we have 2 feats to complete, and this is to hit a troll with its own boulder, and also to defeat an enemy with a venomous tentacula. Again, in this screen we have 2 more to do, and that is to use Protego successfully 10 times, and also to perform a dueling combo up to 30 attacks. In this one we have 3 spells, and that is to cast Stupefy on an enemy 4 times, to defeat an enemy with a Chinese chomping cabbage, and to perform a dueling combo again up to 30. If we complete a challenge, we actually get to see what that looks like as well, because we complete the 30 combo in this footage, and you can see that once it is done, the writing goes green, and also there is a tick in the circle next to it. So now that we have covered all the combat elements, let's take a look at the enemies that we are facing. We actually have 3 different factions of enemies. The 3 factions we have are the Ashwinders, which are the wizards that we fight, the Loyalists, which are the goblins that we fight, and then the Trolls, which are obviously the trolls that we fight. The Ashwinders actually have 6 different variants among them. The first is an Ashwinder Scout, as seen here. This appears to be the most basic version, and they level up from here. The second is an Ashwinder Soldier. Third is an Ashwinder Assassin. These seem to stay further back from us before they come in for a closer attack. We also have an Ashwinder Executioner. These seem to be slightly more powerful than the rest of them. We have an Ashwinder Duelist, which actually seems to be one of the enemies with the top hats on, so it'd be interesting to see if we do fight Rookwood if he has the same fighting style as a duelist. And then finally we have the Ashwinder Ranger. These seem to do quite powerful attacks, but they are from a distance at all times. Looking at the Loyalist factions, we have a Loyalist Warrior, which seems to be their most basic version. We then have a Loyalist Commander, a Loyalist Assassin, a Loyalist Sentinel, and then finally a Loyalist Ranger. Again, these would obviously fire from a distance using crossbows. And then looking at the trolls, we have a standard troll that we see here, a mountain troll, and then we also have a slightly more powerful armored troll here. In this trailer alone, there is 13 different enemy types. That is insane, and that is only a couple of the factions that we're going to be going up against. So I cannot imagine how many different enemies there are going to be in this game. Honestly, everything they show me just astounds me. Now, this combat sequence is just absolutely glorious. There are a couple of moments in it where we actually hear a few of the enemies speaking to us, and I have not captured all of them, but I've captured a few of my favourite enemy interactions that we actually have. So the first one is after we use the Imperio Curse on an enemy. They say the following line. The second one is at the end of the first wave of enemies after we beat a load of wizards, and our character says this.
I did it. And an Ashwinder, no less.
Now the third clip is actually really interesting to me because it hints at the goblins' motives in this game, and also at the goblin rebellion that we know is taking place. So this happens after we finish off a wizard enemy, and you hear one of the goblins say this. And finally, this is also really interesting because it indicates that some of the enemies know about ancient magic, but they are also quite shocked by it, and also they see it as quite a dark spell, because after we turn one of the enemies into the chicken using our ancient magic, this is what they say. I really like it when games add these really nice details, like the enemies reacting to our spells, because it makes the world feel so much more believable and also so much more lived in. So there you have it. That was my full breakdown of the combat and battle arena gameplay from the second gameplay showcase. Let me know what you thought of this breakdown in the comments down below, and also let me know if I've missed anything or if you noticed anything different. I do reply to every single comment, so please get involved. Also, if you want to message me on a more one-to-one basis, I do have a Discord. We are trying to push that at the moment. We have a few members in there, but we would much appreciate many more people, so I will leave a link to that in the description below. And also, I'm very active on Twitter, so if you feel like interacting with me on Twitter, then also follow me over on Twitter. Again, link will be in the description. As always, thank you to all of the members of the channel. I really appreciate all of you, and also all the support that you give the channel. Finally, as always, don't forget to like this video. It really helps out the channel, and also subscribe if you're interested in anything Hogwarts Legacy or Wizarding World. But that is it for this video, and I really do hope you enjoyed it, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one. But until then, mischief managed.